How's it going, everyone? This is CoreTCG. Today I have another deck profile for you guys, this time for a 4th place finish at the Evo Cup online tournament today. It was held by Tag Games, and I was actually one match away from winning the whole thing, but it really wasn't in the cards for me to win today. I was going 6-0 into the final round 7, and honestly, against my opponent, it was a pretty quick 0-2 match for me because, well, I was only really able to see one Angewomon the entire 2 games, and my opponent played pretty well. It was kind of a strange game where game 1, he was able to set up a Nidhoggmon, not much else though, and he was kind of just swinging me down with the one Nidhoggmon and not really progressing his board, while on my side I was kind of dropping Patamons, Lucemons, whatever to heal 1 and just stay alive. But eventually he was able to set up one more stack and end me, so kind of a cockroachy game that took a bit to end. However, really just wasn't getting there with my hands. Game 2, a bit of the same deal. I dropped the Angewomon, but that was really the only thing I could get going, so he was able to clear the Angewomon eventually, and then eventually end me from there without me seeing another boss monster after that. So a bit of an unfortunate game, but you know, GG's to him. He definitely played really well, and he was a pretty chill guy, so definitely deserved it, and congratulations. So I'll get into the deck profile today. I ended up getting 4th place and ended up going 6-1. Played 3 Imperial Dramon blue decks in a row into 2 green OTKs, and then 1 yellow mirror into the final game, which was green OTK. So a lot less yellow than I expected. Yeah, but I'll just get into the deck. It's a little different than what I played last week. This week I'm playing 16 rookies, and this one is a Mastemon list. I kind of wanted to change it up a little bit from last week. You know, I think yellow is my bread and butter at this point, but I did want to spice things up a little bit with a build that I hadn't played too much to keep it kind of interesting for myself. So as I'm playing Mastemon and Angewomons, I'm playing a bit of a different rookie lineup. More of them for one, you know, maxing out the Bushis, maxing out the Puls, of course, and then adding in the Salamons, keeping the Patamons, and bumping up the Lucemons. And this really just makes sure I always have something impactful to drop with either Mastemon reviving or with Angewomon, Angewomon. And it's really more of like a rush / swarm deck rather than the control style I was playing last week. So yeah, a bit more rookies this time. You know, I never really liked Recover Salamon because it requires you to kind of swing and suicide a body in order to get a heal. And it's pretty inconsistent if you're just swinging into security. A lot of times it doesn't die. And, you know, that was really true today as well. I wasn't really able to get it off too many times. And when I did, it was pretty inconsequential. So my thoughts for today is I would probably go back to my original list since it felt a little more stable, but this list definitely was a lot of fun and definitely performed. But this card I'm just unsure about, and I just don't really like playing it. You know, I've said this a lot in my last video, but I much preferred this Patamon. In this deck, I just needed to play more rookie, so, you know, I added everything in. I was missing those memory Patamons just a little bit today. And not just the memory Patamons, but the fact that I wasn't running Slash. So I was missing Slash, which then enables the memory Patamon. So 16 rookies. I'll stop rambling about that now. I think self-explanatory, but the BushiAgumons will rush in end games, and you're running 4 of them now, so this build is extra sacky, especially with just going wide, and then if you have the Angewomon and Angewomon stack, you could potentially just drop 2 Bushis and have 2 extra attacks, and that actually came up a lot today. I kind of like maxing out the 4 Bushi, and I'd probably take this information back to my original toolboxy build from last week. So in the 6, it's a little different. We're running the 2 Gatomon. Everything else is pretty much the same. We got the 4 Pedos. I did cut 1 Turuiemon just to make space for a second Gato, and then I cut 1 Unimon for the other Gato. Gatomon in theory is really good because if you have a purple on the board, it becomes a blocker, and if you have 3 or less security, if you hard play it, you can recover 1. So it's essentially like a 2 health swing in a way, because if you play this, you know, off of your Mastemon effect or something, you heal 1 and you have a blocker. So it seems good. It didn't come up a ton today, so I don't have a ton of opinions on it. I actually never used recovery effect even once, and most of the time he was actually just like a champion for me going up to my other stuff. So yeah, I don't have too much to say about the Gatomon, and the rest of this is pretty standard. Didn't really miss the 4th Turuiemon odds. I think having more 2-drops as level 4s was actually, it felt pretty nice because there were definitely a lot of situations where, you know, I would have 1 memory and then just being able to 2-drop and then slam the opponent at 1 memory was pretty helpful. So that's all I really have to say about that. For level 5s, pretty much the same as last week. I opted to go for the 2 Angewomon instead of the 3 WarGrowlmon because I feel like the DP minus in this deck isn't as emphasized without any /Angewomons, so this guy is less important, and also there's just a ton of reasons why this one's good, just being able to hard cast it for 6 for 7k body for 1. The recover 1 is really nice, especially against green OTK, where they'll bring you down to 1 or 0 and then you can start healing back up with it. And then Angewomon is still the best level 5 in this deck, and maybe in general, honestly. This card is so good. And in the many Imperial matchups I played against today, it did a lot of work with this -2 security attack effect. I was able to just kind of lock down their Imperial stacks for an entire turn with this effect. And it really just kept me in the game and not, you know, protected me from losing too much life early. So this card actually came in clutch in the blue matchup. So pretty happy about the 5 lineup. And then going into the 6s, we have the 3 WarGreymon, 2 Mastemon, and 2 Magnadramon. Only really difference from last week is changing out the slashes for the Mastemons. When I didn't see this a ton today. I actually mostly played, I felt like, the yellow side of my deck. But in the few matches I did see this, it was pretty awesome to have something to just slam on an empty board and feel really good about. Even more so than Magnadramon because it's a 12k body. You don't really need to have your opponent to play anything before you can slam this. Like one of my matches, I just went 3, 4, 5, 6 and brought out the Mastemon on a completely empty board, trash top security. There's a pretty good chance of level 3 or 4 since you're playing so many of them. It was like a BushiAgumon or something, so like it just started off like maybe turn 2 or 3, I had the Mastemon plus Bushi and just kind of ran away with the game from there. So yeah, really good card to play on an empty board. You know, it didn't screw me over on any TK plays, thankfully, but honestly, I just didn't really see this card a ton today. We want to do more testing with it. In theory, it's really good against security control since you go wide and you trash security without activating its effects. And yeah, I think once it trashed my Eden's Javelin or something like that, and I was a little upset. Other than that, I think it was a decent card for me today. Did miss the /Angewomons a little bit though, so I'm gonna probably do more testing going into that last Evo Cup event at the end of the month, and we'll decide like what kind of yellow I want to be playing for that event, or if I'm even playing yellow for that event. So we'll see. 2 Magnadramon, you know, still performed. Love this card. Probably the best level 6 in yellow, if not in the game. Hard cast for 2, and then the fact is a free Angewomon where you get to play a rookie without the limitation of being, you know, under 3 security before you can activate it. So very solid card. And WarGreymon does what WarGreymon does. Restand him, -6k. What more can I say about him? And then we're only playing 2 Valgararm just because we're running only 5 yellow level 6 that you can evolve into him. And this was the other thing that I really missed, is having that 3rd one. Felt like I didn't always see the Valgararm when I wanted to, and I wasn't able to deal with a lot of my opponent's boards. It could have been, you know, to do with the matchup spread I had today, which was a lot of blue and green, and I just wasn't able to consistently answer Nidhogg's or like Imperial Dramons, and I really had to play a game where I tried to race them instead of try to clear the board. Yeah, I'm gonna do some testing around this. I think I do prefer the DP version with the slashes and the 3rd Valgararm at the end of the day. And then we got the option lineup. We got the 3 Blinding Rays and 2 TKs. This is different from the 3 and 2 I was running last week. I was trying this out a little bit today because I'd heard people saying that like 3 TKs clogs, and then having the 3rd Blinding Ray is basically like a TK for a turn. I definitely agree with that, and I loved seeing the Blinding Ray a lot more at 3. But I might bump the TK back up to 3 too, because I saw him a lot less today, and yeah, it definitely cost me a couple games where I just didn't have the tamer while my opponent did. So I think TK, it feels better at 3, and I'm probably gonna bump it back up. And then last but not least, I got the Edens, kind of just for the sack factor. Like, it came up a couple times today, and I was happy to see it every time. So, you know, I talked a lot of good about this card in last week's deck's profile, but you know, that all those points remain today. It's a really beast card late game when you have a lot of cards in hand. I had like 20 cards in hand one time. I was ready to out anything with the Edens, but I was already in an advantage enough position to where I could just take the game, but I was ready to drop that 20k Edens, came up in security like once, and it didn't work. So I probably want to bump this up to 2 as well somehow. And then for the eggs, it's kind of just standard. Got the 4 Upas, 1 Koro. I like this ratio because drawing cards, it's super important. This deck bricks sometimes, not as much as other decks, but when you do, you're glad to have Upas. And then the Koro is just nice to be able to out 7K sometimes, or just ping off 1K, so definitely a very solid 5th egg. So yeah, that was the deck. Actually ran pretty well today, but I think it was a lot more ups and downs versus my deck that I played last week. Felt like I was 2-0ing more consistently with that deck, whereas this deck I was doing a lot of 2-1s where I was like losing the middle game, and there were just some clunky hands where I was holding Boulder Arms and I had a Mastemon out. Luckily I still won those games because my opponent wasn't really able to answer the Mastemon and just kept clocking them for security. But other than that, yeah, I think most of my games ended up looking like a pure yellow build anyways. Like I said, I didn't see the Mastemons a lot today, and I was mostly playing with like these guys, and felt a little bit like an underpowered yellow deck because I didn't have slashes. Yeah, the power of this Gato I didn't really get to see, and really reinforced me that, you know, I definitely like the promo Pata over the Salamon just based on, you know, the many games today and how they each affected the game. And Pulsemon is definitely still the best yellow rookie. Like, dropping this for free and getting the memory or the cards or both for free is ridiculous. And same with the Bushis, getting the extra attacks for free. So yep, overall, you know, yellow, definitely the deck to beat this format. It was actually a green deck that won today, and I'm happy to see that other colors being represented more. Definitely a lot of blue players from what I was seeing, a lot of green. Gonna be going to the lab a little bit, just going into the July 31st. Who's it hosted by? Oh, CoreTCG Evo Cup. Last chance at the Omnimon. You know, it slipped through my fingers today, and it was very close, but, you know, honestly, GG's to that guy, and it definitely just wasn't my day to win today, so congratulations. Hope you guys enjoyed. Shout out to my teammates. Got Justin, Rob, and Sam, also just gassing each other up as we're playing today. It was a well-run event, and enjoyed most of my matches. See you next time, and hopefully we'll make another one of these in a couple weeks. Peace.